Good afternoon. We are now live.
Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar organized by the FTTH Council Europe with the title Grow Your FTTH Business with Environments Where Everyone Thrives. We are going to show you 10 practical recommendations from our survey from awareness to action. My name is Barbara Tonarelli. I'm the chair of the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Committee at the Council and a principal sales engineer at Atran. Before we start, I'd like to introduce you to the FTTH Council Europe. If you're not familiar to that, it's a pan-European non-profit industry association founded over 20 years ago with the mission to bring fiber to everywhere and to everyone with over 160 member companies, and the activities that the council covers are expert advice and practice sharing, studies and reports. The webinar is part of these activities. So let's move to the next slide, please. As I said, this webinar, and it's a pleasure to introduce it, is one of the webinars of a series that are covering technical and educational topics. And in our case, we are going to present the outcome of a couple of surveys that we recently did within the DE&I committee. Next slide, please. As practical information for this webinar, please note that the webinar is recorded. It will be accessible even later in digital form. And for all those who have registered to the webinar, the slides that will also be made available. If you want to pose a question, please use the question chat. There is no way of putting a question in person, so by audio, but we are really welcoming your questions anytime during the webinar itself. So please go on and send your questions as they come. Next slide. We want to introduce our committee that started activities in 2019 with focus especially on the gender gap in our industry. Meanwhile, we have developed into a real committee in 2023 and are addressing and promoting not only gender diversity, but also ethnic ability and generational diversity and inclusion, sharing best practices within our industry and our members especially, and embracing equality in our sector. Our latest activities in the last year were a video campaign, the Women in Fiber Industry video campaign, an inspirational campaign of which we will share in the next minutes the main video. And then we had two surveys. One is the DE&I in Fiber Landscape Survey addressed to everybody working in our sector in Europe. And the second one instead is a technical survey, very specialized on certifications and CSR, ESG targets and status. This will be bringing strength to our elaborated outcomes from the landscape survey. During the latest conference in Amsterdam in March, we had a very interesting panel about the role of diversity, equity and inclusion for the sustainability of the FTTH industry. And last but not least, we are a very passionate and committed team on this topic. So if you are a member of the FTTH Council Europe, we'd like to hear from you, and we would like to get your participation in our team as well. So before I introduce the panelists of this session, we will run the video and also share with you a question for a poll. I have no idea how they would produce their complex.
Can we go back to the slide deck now, please?
Thank you. So, right, with me today in the panel are three ladies from the committee that will present the recommendations we have elaborated from the surveys, who are Caterina Kazak, Sales Director Nordics and Central Europe at Linksys, Ezra Buche, ESG Analyst at Eurofiber, who will be elaborating based on the technical survey results, and Carolina Velasco, that is Communication Specialist at Corning. After the presentation, I will have the pleasure to interview the CEO of Yungo, who is the award-winning company of this year for the FTTH Council with the bill. I think we can start first of all with the poll. The poll is about what do you think is the biggest benefit of creating an environment where everyone thrives, which is what we are talking about today. You should see the poll now coming up and should have this chance to provide your answer. The answers we have in the poll are attracting and retaining top talent, driving innovation and new ideas, serving customers better, increasing the company's financial impact, or ticking the CSR ESG box. So we would be happy to receive your answers. I'm seeing that there are already answers in. We wait a couple of seconds before we start with our content, just to get a background of our audience today. Seems that at the moment, most of the audience think that DE&I and creating an environment where everyone thrives is driving innovation and new ideas, let's say, driving innovation and new ideas as the biggest benefit for that environment. Let's see if we get other answers. The second one in the poll is attracting and retaining top talent, which is at the moment at 14%. And the last one in the ranking is serving customers better, which is at 7%. So most of the people in the audience, together with us, I think mostly believe that driving innovation and new ideas is the biggest benefit of creating an environment where everyone thrives. Which gives us a good background, I think, to start our presentation. So I think, Caterina,
Yes.
you are next.
Yes,
Thank
thank you, Barbara. Now let us deep dive into the surveys. The committee worked in 2025 with a target to establish a baseline within the industry and find about best practices, identify how much active work is being done to address diversity, also to evaluate more technical data like certifications, company programs, and their impact on building an inclusive workplace. Me and Caroline will present the main fiber to the home industry landscape survey results, supported by technical survey presented by Ezra. The main industry landscape survey has been conducted in late 2024, early 2025 in Europe to broad audience, including non-member companies with 287 responses received. Most of the respondents are males, Caucasian white, and balanced age mix of respondents. Next slide, please. In relation to respondent seniority and tenure, survey shows we see a good presence of female and high percentage of employees which are in the industry for less than 10 years at entry level. We see high percentage of females, more than 10% in comparison to male. Also in relation to having worked longer than 10 years at team supervisor level. We also see a balanced mix of seniority and tenure at department manager and expert level. Looking at the higher seniority levels, business director or industry recognized expert, we still see male experts prevailing females. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Katerina. I will now jump in. I'm hearing an echo, I think. Okay, now it's good now. As Barbara mentioned already in the introduction a little bit about the technical survey, we held this one beginning of this year. And it was mainly to gain insights into how companies in the FTTH industry are putting DE&I into practice. So in addition from the response that we got from the general survey, we also wanted to gather data on a company level. And we invited ESG managers, HR managers, and CFO to fill in this questionnaire, because the questions in the survey were about topics that are usually covered in annual financial or ESG reports or during certification processes. You could think of questions like gender and diversity representation in the whole organization, DE&I policies, external certifications, and KPIs on DE&I, including the gender pay gap. 36 FTTH companies from Europe answered our survey and contributed to the results. And there were companies ranging from small companies with less than 50 employees up to companies that are larger with more than 10,000 employees. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Esra. So how do we move from awareness to action? Here comes 10 practical recommendations from the survey data to encourage progress and address detected gaps. The first recommendation is to encourage speak-up culture where employees feel safe reporting bias or discrimination and ensure HR responds effectively. In the survey about facing microaggression and unconscious bias in the workplace and reporting, almost half of the respondents experienced microaggression at the workplace, with majority based on gender and age. When respondents experience microaggression at the workplace, about 25% indicated that the issue was not addressed properly by HR. 67% of responded not applicable, which is a very high number, as apparently there are no reporting tools in place or respondents do not know whom and how to report to, or even if reporting tool exists. It can also be a case that employees are afraid to report due to consequences. Observations from the survey can show potential risks that if employees feel their concerns about bias or discrimination are ignored and can lead to decreased morale and disengagement. A lack of follow-through on DE&I related complaints can also damage the credibility of HR and leadership, making employees hesitant to report future issues. In the long run, unresolved microaggression can contribute to a toxic workplace culture and even expose companies to legal risks. Next slide, please.
Yes, and if I can add to that, in the general survey, only 31% of the respondents said that they understand how to use the organization's policies to report issues regarding DE&I in their company. In the technical survey, we asked companies if they have clear policies that go beyond legal minimums to guide equal employee practices, and 81% of the companies said that they do. 65% also said that they have a designated person that's responsible for equal treatment, and 24% say that they have external labor and human rights certification. This shows us that most of the companies do have the right policies in place, and they put in the efforts and sometimes extra efforts as well. But it doesn't necessarily mean that employees within a company also understand how these policies work, or might not even feel necessarily safe to use them as well. So it could suggest that we need to do something more extra to make sure people understand it and they also feel safe to use it. Over to you, Katarina.
Yes, thank you, Esra. Our second recommendation is to implement mentorship and leadership programs to support women's career progression and reduce gender based bias. And here we would like to enhance the need for more diverse representation and leadership and management roles. We see gender, ethnic, and age diversity are more recognized by respondents than disability representation, which remains low. 7% indicated that they do not see diverse representation and leadership. While this is a relatively smaller group, it is still a notable percentage and warrants further exploration to understand the specific areas where diversity is lacking. Next slide, please.
Yes, and in the technical survey, one of the questions was also about female representation across the organization. And we could see that female representation drops while male representation increases the higher you go up into the organizational hierarchy. And obviously, we also know that historically, more males entered the industry in the earlier days, and it makes sense to follow the traditional career paths that lead them to senior roles. But if we don't intentionally do something to support women's development, this gap will always be there. So mentorship, sponsorship, leadership programs could help and support women's development more. And the nice thing about mentorship as well is that it offers a two-way benefit. So mentors also say that they learn from their mentees and they get new perspectives and also come into contact with people from different backgrounds. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Asra. Cannot say it even better, so great. Our third recommendation is to share diversity and promotion data to help employees understand organizational efforts and progress. There is a skepticism and belief of equal opportunities of growth, so organizations need to be more transparent about promotions and promotional criteria. Without clear communication on the business case for DE&I, employee engagement in these initiatives and policies may decline. If DE&I is perceived performative rather than impactful, it could lead to frustration, resistance, or even backlash. Next slide, please.
Yes, and in a technical survey, we found that on average, only 9% of the top executive roles were held by individuals from minority or vulnerable groups. But we did see a gap in data or missing information because 16 companies said they didn't know how much, 7 didn't or couldn't respond, and 8 reported 0%. It is understandable that it's not easy to track this because due to privacy laws such as GDPR, you can only track gender. However, it doesn't mean that it's not important to make this visible or track it, because if you're able to show, if you are able to make the underrepresented groups more visible, you can also show employees in a company that there is efforts from the organization and there is progress. It leads to also better support of underrepresented group if that might be needed, and more accountability. And one solution for gathering the data could be through anonymous self-ID. For example, you could send out an anonymous survey and then people in the company can provide information themselves. Next slide, please.
Right. So the fourth recommendation would be to focus on underrepresented groups. As you can see in the survey results, almost 80% of respondents were white Caucasian males. And we don't know if this is a reflection of the staff or is the people who were responding mostly, but it is also very telling that less than 50% of respondents agreed without reluctancy that everyone has the same opportunities. So on one hand, you have people saying, yes, there is diversity, but the growth opportunities are not the same, right? So but there has been an increase in diversity if we compare it to 2022, when results were mostly responded by 86.4% Caucasian male. The recommendation, as usual, to focus on the represented groups would be foster ERGs and opportunities. Next slide, please. So obviously, 50% of the male respondents agree that there is equal treatment within companies. But when we talk about women, this only represents the 23rd%. And most of the responses show growing skepticism. At the same time, those who agree that there is equal treatment, they are either veterans in the industry or very new, which can tell us for the people who have been the longer in the industry, they don't see many changes, or they feel the changes, but they don't affect them, so they think it's all working properly, or it's people who are new in the industry, and obviously the paradigm in society has changed. However, it's still worrisome that 80% of respondents don't perceive equal treatment, regardless of gender and seniority. Next slide, please. So the fifth recommendation would be to implement leadership programs for people with disabilities and LGBTQ employees to enhance their visibility and opportunities. As you can see in the slides, the amount of female employees or of other identities that report microaggressions and barriers is really, really high compared to men. For men, it's less than 10%. For women, it goes between 40 and 30%, but for other identities, it's incredibly high, it's 80%. This means that there is a systemic gap, that perceptions are intertwined, and there is a need to target interventions to address these gaps. Next slide, please.
Ezra, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me know. So as I was saying quietly, in the technical survey, about half of the companies say that they have measures to prevent discrimination in hiring, promotion, or development. This could mean that there are still people who might be facing unfair barriers and do not have the measures that protect them. When you have clear and fair paths for growth, it could help reduce bias and also the small microaggressions that can hold back careers. And when everybody has equal access to mentorship and leadership training, it helps unlock potential, even if they are facing obstacles. And when you have the support systems in place, more people can succeed and they will be also happy to stay longer and even contribute more to the company. Next slide, please.
The sixth recommendation would be to ensure equal promotion opportunities by conducting regular pay and career audits and identify and correct the disparities. Most employees really believe that the organization is fair in their career progression. However, not everyone experiences the same level of fairness. Again, there is a skepticism in the belief of equal opportunities, and less than 50% of employees strongly agree. And we consider that whenever people say that they somewhat agree, it's a way of saying they don't fully agree, right? And what we target to is to have a full agreement. So organizations need to share data and information on diversity in leadership. They have to be transparent about promotions, promotion criteria, and good news again is that there is an increase in female line managers if we compare the data to 3 years ago. Next slide, please.
Yes, we were also wondering if companies were aware of the gender pay gap and if there was a gender pay gap. 11 of the companies responded that they don't have a gender pay gap. 12 don't know if they have it, and 12 do say that there is a gap, and 2 didn't want to provide the information. It could be that there maybe is a challenge in tracking this, or it's not a priority yet. But to add it, when you can make this visible, then the assumptions, maybe overestimating or underestimating the equal opportunities could be taken away. So that's all for my part.
Right. Before we go to the interview to Wilfried de Witt, that is the CEO of Jungo, the company who won the FTTH Champion of Diversity Award this year, I'd like to remind you that if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and we will be happy to answer your questions at the end of the interview. So good afternoon, Wilfried. So as I said, you are the CEO of Jungo, the company who won the award this year for diversity, inclusion, and even equity, I would say. Can you please tell us something about your company and the reasons why you were getting that award?
Of course, but first of all, thank you, Barbara, for having me to explain how Jungo is doing. Jungo is an engineering company based in Prague, Czech Republic, and we are specialized in designing fiber to the home networks across Europe and the USA. We're a young company in both age and mindset. With around 100 employees, we are representing 33 nationalities and an average age of 31 years old or young, just how you want to say it. All our employees are holding a master's degree in engineering. Why we received the Diversity Award is because we are embedding diversity into the core of our culture. Our approach goes beyond the numbers because we want to focus on creating a truly inclusive workplace. From cultural diversity into hiring practices, also into a very balanced leadership representation. We ensure that all the diverse perspectives, they are fueling all our innovation and all our collaboration. And just to give you some numbers, I told you that we have 33 nationalities. Total 40% of our staff is female. But if you look to the management positions, the team leads are holding 80% for the females. And in my management team, we have 50% is female. So we are indeed a very diverse company.
Right. I think we wanted to share the recommendations. So I'd like to have the next slide, please. Looking at the survey results, we observed that there is still a gap between mentorship, training, and development possibilities for younger people, especially. So we focused on the one below 25 and the senior employees. Based on that, one more recommendation from our survey is the one we see on the screen. So develop career growth pathways and upskilling programs to ensure both young and senior employees have equal opportunities. What is your experience related to this aspect at Jungo?
Yeah, we are with all the young people, we have to focus on not only offering career paths, but also mentoring them in this. So we offer a variety of trainings, both soft, very important, and of course, technical skills. Next to this, we offer everybody in our company to a training budget of 1,000 euros per year that they can spend freely on any education. Also, when we are opening a management position, we open that to everybody. By that, we are creating good opportunities. But the downside for this is that we are asking young people without management experience to go into a management position. And for this, we have a structure where we are supporting those people. So in total, I have 6 teams where all the engineers are in, but the 6 team leads for these teams are in total responding to 2 managers. So their span of control is 1 on 3. And those 2 managers who are supporting the team leads are both supporting to 1 COO, our Chief of Operations Officer. She is taking care of those 2 people, and those 2 people each are taking care of 3 people. So that's how we support our people to grow in their abilities and also to make everybody happy within Jungo.
Right. Thank you, Wilfried. So we go to our 8th recommendation. Your company, as you said, is mostly constituted of young people, and one of the recommendations we also encourage in our sector is to create youth programs to ensure that younger generations are attracted and can find their way forward in our industry, which is not easy. Is there something you would like to share on how Jungo is able to do that?
Yeah, we are looking for young people. So once we start hiring, we are looking into people who are just graduating from school. So we really focus on that. Of course, for us, it's easy if those people already have a work permit in the in the European Union. And if not, we are helping them with it, not only financially, but also how to do it, because it takes a while. And in the interviews that we have with young people, we are focusing next to their knowledge, we are focusing on their values. We want them to have the same values as we have within Jungo: passion, unity, agility, and innovation. So, and by doing that, we are finding most of the time more people than we need. Not only because we have a great location in the heart of Prague, where it's very nice to work and where people like to be, but also we are focusing on in our marketing to send out the message that we are a multicultural environment where young people who want to start an international career can come and work. So we have a plan and we focus on that and we market that. Next to this, we also want the people to stay longer with us. So we really are a social hub, form that for them so they can not only have a nice working environment, but also a nice social environment. Most of the people that work for us, they come to Prague on their own. They don't have families with them or friends. So they make new friends within the Jungo department, and therefore they stay longer with us.
Right. Thank you. So we go to the 9th recommendation. From the survey analysis, one main gap we observed in our industry is the employees, but also the leadership roles, and amongst the board, there is a gap in minorities and vulnerable group representation. Based on these observations, we recommend to strengthen diverse hiring, leadership representation, and employee resource groups to foster inclusivities for those minorities and in general for minorities in the company. Are you doing that already at Jungo, Wilfried?
I always say yes and no. It's not our focus to hire minorities only. But of course, the way we promote ourselves, we are doing it. If you look to the numbers, we have 40% of our people are females. So yes, we attract them. We attract them again, as I mentioned before, with the social media that we send out into the world, what kind of a company we are. And because that our management positions currently are already mostly occupied by females, also other females will see and look and say, okay, there is a possibility. It's normal to go for those jobs. Another thing that we do for minorities, currently we are in the Pride month, and what we then do is that we send out a Pride adjusted Jungo logo that they can put in their autograph, so that it's normal within our company to show or that you have affection or that you belong. So by making it visible, we give attention to it. And on the other end, we don't have rules, we don't have numbers to tick, but it is who we are.
Good. Then we come to our last recommendation number 10. That is last in our slide deck, but not least at all. From the results of the survey, it is clear that there are still improvement possibilities in terms of communication within companies. So we came up with the recommendation to foster and develop transparency and improve communication. Can you share some concrete examples of what this means within Yungo and which impacts you see on your people about communication improvements?
Yes, of course. I think one of the biggest what we do is that we hold monthly company meetings. So it's kind of a stand up in front of everybody in the company, where the leadership shares our financial, also our project progress and the lessons learned that we have, and also the failures that we have made. But also we announce here who got promoted and all questions that we have from the suggestion box. The suggestion box is a anonymous website where people can ask or can make comments on it. And this all opens a culture of trust. But next to this suggestion box, we also have a very formal whistleblower process where people can say something that they totally don't like or they want to bring to our attention. So also we have that. I'm lucky to say that in the suggestion box we have monthly tens of questions or remarks, and in the formal process we are not aware that anything has happened there yet since 2016. So that is good. What we also do is when there is a job opening, we do that publicly. So we send out to all people in the company this job opening. If it's a management position or a career position, we just send it out to everybody so everybody knows that there is something. And 2 times a year, we have a employee survey survey where we ask how people are feeling, how they are treated in their team, how is their relationship with their team manager. So we really, in summary, we are really focusing on getting feedback from the people to tell us how we are doing and to ask or to tell us what they want us to improve. Next to this, but I think most companies will have that, we have feedback sessions within a team, and not only from the manager to the people. We have that 3 times a year that we want our managers to tell the people where the people can improve or where we are very proud on. And also the other way around, once a year, we ask all the people in a team to give us some feedback on their team manager. So feedback, transparency, very important within Yungo, and that is there are a lot of processes around this.
Wilfried, thanks a lot for helping us with Yungo's best practice sharing. Wish you and Yungo a long-lasting success, and please stay here with us as we will get some questions as well, and we might need your help to answer those. Right, I see some questions about the possibility of receiving the slide deck. Maybe someone was joining after I said that at the beginning. Everyone who registered for this webinar will receive the recording of this presentation and also the slide deck. So you will get it, don't worry. Anyone that would like to pose the question can do it still now. So maybe I will go through some of the questions here. Caterina, maybe there is a question for you on about the two surveys. We can go into details about the previous survey, but the question is if we have seen any difference in the audience and areas that have been improved within these 4 years, so between the first survey and the survey of this year.
Mhm. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, audience, for a good question. Yes, this year we had a higher number of mail replies, while in 2021 we had a balanced respondents base. It's a good sign in terms of interest into the survey. At the same time, it shows still that there is a gender gap in our sector. We also got answers of employees of all ages with a good mix, which indicates a broader engagement in diversity, equity, and inclusion topics across our industry. We've also recorded more people reporting to female line managers, and more people had training and mentorship programs over the last years, together with increased percentage of people who got promoted in the last 3 years, which is available improvement, I think. So this is, yeah. So good dynamics and positive dynamics, yes.
Thank you, Caterina.
Thank you.
Then we have a question, Carolina, maybe I will leave it to you to answer that. Of all the challenges that the industry faces in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which one do you think is more urgent or one of the most urgent?
I would say that it's retaining talent and fostering an inclusive culture, and everybody has to feel like they belong where they work. To have engaged employees, they need to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance, and that requires equal pay, equal opportunities, transparency, and above all, an inclusive workplace. It is a common thing that everybody says, right? That a happy employee is the best PR for a company, and you can get a happy employee with these measures.
Right, and as we saw in the survey, I guess that we still have some gaps to fill. So hopefully, some of the recommendations we are bringing in today in our sector can help companies getting closer to filling the gaps. Ezra, there is also a question on the technical side of things. Do you have do you have any data about how reporting obligations of KPIs affect the existence of the diversity equity policies within companies? So if there is a relationship between KPIs the companies have to answer in their ESG reports or CSR audits, and how those affect the policies within companies.
Yeah, so as I shared before, we saw in the survey that for the largest part, companies have D&I policies. They go beyond the legal minimums to guide equal employment practices, and that there are even some, more than half, that have a designated person, but only just a few have certifications or KPIs on D&I. So from the technical survey, at least, I don't see a direct link. But I know that having a commercial reason could also trigger and encourage companies to either put in place, if they don't have it yet, a D&I policy, or continue focusing on developing that further and have more initiatives to attract investors or to win bids. And yeah, if I can add one more thing, I also noticed on LinkedIn, for example, if you are I learned that from LinkedIn, that if you're looking for a job, you can filter on if a company also has D&I initiatives or policies. So it's also important to be able to attract people to your company, because otherwise you might not even be found in the filter in LinkedIn jobs.
Thank you, Ezra. Makes sense. Well, maybe going back to the equality, which we haven't reached yet, and is evidently a gap. Feel free, there are a couple of questions to you. One is about the payment gap, so the salary gap between females and males in Jumbo. Do you have some data that you can share publicly?
Yeah, if you we look into this on a yearly base. On a yearly base, we at one point look at all our salaries and we see if we are still market compliant. And at that time, we also look into the gender gap. Is there a gender gap or not? And I must say, yes, there is a gender gap, but it's the other way around within Yungo, because on average, our male employees make 2% less salary than our females. And of course, this is due to the fact that we have more females in the management position in the group that we have. So I think in general, there is no salary gap, but if you look at the total company, we see a small gap of 2%.
Thank you, especially because these are sort of sensible data, so thanks for sharing that. There is also a question, Wilfred, related to younger generations, and if you could name one important valuable thing you learned from that younger generations, because you have many employees which are very young. What would it be? Anything that you notice the younger generations can learn from the others and vice versa?
Yeah, what was very, very surprising to me is that the young generation is really open to help. And with helping their colleagues in all kind of matters, not only in helping them to get better at work or to help them with a difficult task, but also helping them with some private issues that you have when you come to a different country. To find a new house when your landlord kicked you out, or to go to the Ministry of Integration to get some papers at the Czech offices. So they really are helping out to each other. That was very, very surprising to me. Even if it costs them a lot of private time, they are helping everybody. The other way around is, and I think that's, for me, that's an obvious one. I think what young people can learn from a little bit older people is to make things more, make things not big when it's not needed to. Do some relativization. So in Holland, we have a saying that the soup is not eaten as hot as it will be served. So take some time to, when you see a problem, take some time to from a distance to see if it's really a big thing or if it's a small thing. But I think that really has to do with age. That if you're a little bit older, oh, I've seen it before, it's not big of a problem, we can solve it later. That for me are the two things that they can learn from each other.
Thank you, Wilfried. We take the last question for me. What are the main goals for our committee, for the DE&I committee for the next year? And if a non-member company can join our team. You saw today, the main goal for the committee is to extend really beyond the gender gap. So extend the study we did so far on other diversity factors, especially on age and also on cultural and ethical aspects to provide best practice sharing and further recommendation including examples of virtual companies in our industry as Jungo is, but there are many more that we would like to explore. And as we have seen today, age and especially getting more attractive for young generation is essential for the sustainability of our sector in coming years. So we need to make sure that we can do really most as we can to attract the best talents in our sector and be able to sustain our work going on in the sector. Concerning non-member companies, of course, a non-member company can always apply to become a member of the FTTH Council Europe as long as they can demonstrate to work in the sector. And all member companies are welcome to join and join the committee work as volunteering activity. We welcome, of course, new people in our team to bring fresh air and to give us also new ideas on what is relevant and could help us keep sustainable in the coming years. With that, I'd like to thank the Council for giving us the opportunity to share the results of the surveys with you. As we said, the slide set and also the recording will be shared with all the registrants to this webinar. And I'd like to thank very much Ezra Buche, Caterina Kazak, Carolina Velasco, and Wilfried de Wild for participating today. Thank you. See you next time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.